Hey guys, what's up? Jimmy from The Ultimate Fighter, Season 17. But you already knew that, or else you wouldn't be watching this video. Um, I'm just trying to recreate the lighting effects from the show everyone liked so much. It's going poorly. Enough of that. So first thing I wanted to do this week was just talk about our assistant coaches a little bit. They were just kind of briefly mentioned on the show, but they were so valuable to us while we were there that, I felt they deserved a little bit extra mention. The head coach really was Clayton Hires. He's Chael's head coach from his camp. He kind of was running a lot of the sessions and planning them out for us. He's known as like MMA stand-up coach, punches and bunches. He's a great guy. He's loud, vocal, really kept a good pace at training. The other coach was Scott McQuarrie. He is the owner of One MMA, one-MMA.com, if you're interested in going to the website. He's a judo guy, Muay Thai, really kind of a jack of all trades and kind of could teach you anything you needed to know. Another coach we had was Jamie Huey. He's a boxing coach, also out of One MMA. Phenomenal guy. He came in with the attitude of, I'm lucky to be here with you guys. Anything you need, I'm here for you. And he's a great guy. He's a guy that was holding pads for me all the time and really wanted to work in different MMA combinations. And I can't say enough about the guy. For jiu-jitsu, we had Vinny Magalhaes. He's a guy from Las Vegas. Most people know him through The Ultimate Fighter and for fighting for the UFC. He's done it all in the sport of jiu-jitsu as well as, quite a bit in the UFC. And he'll actually be fighting Phil Davis, hopefully, coming up in April. So it was good to have him on the team. Just awesome to work with him and just such a high-level jiu-jitsu guy. It was a lot of fun. And the last, certainly not least, coach that we had there was Mike Dolce. He was just a huge tool for our team between nutrition, weight cutting, weightlifting, everything we needed to know. He came in and he was just an expert in his field. He's really the best there is. So what you kind of miss in the first episode is after the teams are announced, we actually go back. So all that stuff with us going into the house, that actually happens before the fight pick. And so, initially we go in the house. Team Jones was there first, and they actually ripped a bed off of one of the bedrooms downstairs, which pissed off production. But they brought it to the room upstairs and basically made it 7 guys upstairs, and then we split the rooms downstairs 3 and 4, basically. So Kelvin, King, Kevin, Casey, Uriah Hall, and myself were in one room, and then Luke, Thor, and Zach Cummings were in the other room. So we basically had upstairs Team Jones, downstairs Team Sonnen. So during this time, we're all wondering, what's the fight pick going to be? For Team Sonnen, it was so stressful because we're kind of like, it could be any of us. We all have to be ready to go. The few of us thought we were safe. Me and Uriah talked quite a bit, and we both felt we were safe. Obviously, I was wrong because Josh wanted to fight me first. If he got his way, had to be on weight basically within 24 hours. But we didn't know about any of the stuff going on with Team Jones at this time. So the fight pick is announced, and Gilbert versus Luke becomes the fight pick, and they come back, and we kind of see Gilbert, and we're like, what's that about? Like the night before, which they don't show either, is we're all sitting around playing Pictionary at the kitchen table, and Gilbert, me, Luke, and maybe 1 or 2 other guys, but like Gilbert and Luke are acting like best friends, and little do we know, Gilbert's plotting to pick him out for the fight the next day. So it created a kind of an awkward moment. We got back to the house the next day. I don't think at this time either, though, Gilbert had told us anything about what was going on as far as the drama behind the scenes. Like for us, Team Sonnen, we were seeing all that for the first time as far as what was going on in the locker rooms and the way they were questioning Gilbert. We ended up finding that out after the fight. Gilbert came back and told us, they were questioning me like this and that. And he told us, like Adam and Clint, the couple guys, Dylan was real good to him. There's a few guys that really had his back and were positive to him, but the other side of the kind of stronger personalities like Bubba and Josh were really riding him pretty hard about not being the right pick for the team and questioning that. So Gilbert was really hurt. I mean, going into the fights, all you have there, which people don't understand, it's an individual sport, but when you're out there, all you have is your teammates. You don't have your family, you don't have your phones, you don't have TV, you don't have books, you don't have magazines. All you have is your teammates. So if you don't have the support of them, you have the support of nobody. So even though Gilbert was a little annoying with the way he kind of talked a lot about how he didn't get support for that fight, I always could feel bad for him. I couldn't really sympathize with him because kind of like I don't know what that feels like to get knocked out by the big slow. But I could empathize with him and say, I understand where you're coming from. And I can understand how that's a terrible situation to be put into where your team doesn't support you because that's the only support system you have when you're out there. So with all that stuff behind basically the fight picks and Gilbert's problems with the team, it kind of brings us over to our side, which I kind of know more about, obviously, because I didn't have to watch it on TV. But, Luke was picked, and we kind of got the sense that it was because he was one of the heavier guys, and he was pretty banged up from his fight here in the house. And Luke ended up losing 23 pounds, I think it was, in 24 hours after that pick, which was incredible. Like, I couldn't believe he did it. He got in the tub, and, Dolce was helping out with the weight cut, and it was just phenomenal to watch the kid lose as much weight as he did and still look and feel as good as he did going into it. It was pretty incredible to watch. So the day of the fight, you basically got to pick two people to be in your kind of corner warming you up for the fight, and Luke had me and Thor come to warming up, and I kind of almost feel shorted that the warm-up, Luke beat the hell out of me. He elbowed, like I felt like I was in a fight and just tortured me. And, I love doing it because the importance of getting the fight pick, it meant everything to our team. Like we needed that to have the power to be able to pick the fights we needed for some of our guys, and to me that meant everything. So I wanted to do whatever I could to help get that pick. So warming up Luke was just a little piece that I could contribute for that fight. And I was a little disappointed, honestly, that all you see is a little bit of me bobbing and weaving because Luke put a beating on me. And it also helped me to kind of get a little insight into the fight as well, where I'm thinking, like, Luke is tough, he's long, not a bad wrestler, which is incredible for a guy from England. They don't even have wrestling over there. So I think when he came to America, this was the first time he actually saw what wrestling was. So, it was pretty incredible that he could defend takedowns the way he could. And going in, I knew, like, Gilbert's so small, he's going to have no idea what the leverage is like for Luke to just kind of stand him up when he gets in on a double. And basically exactly what you see in the fight where Luke was just defending. That's exactly what I expected out of the fight, and just kind of wearing Gilbert down. So Luke really did basically exactly what he needed to in the fight. He could have taken, I think, a little opportunities to open up with his striking. He's got vicious elbows from all over the place, and he's a really dangerous guy. So, I would like to see a little more opening up, but he did what he needed to do, and finally, opened up with that knee and clipped Gilbert and put him out, and it was pretty exciting for our team to finally get that pick back. So after getting that fight pick, we basically went right back to our locker room. There's not much time that happens in between there, but we knew now, like, we have control. We can do what we want with the picks. And I was very vocal about, Jones went after our number one guy. I want to give it right back to him. I want to fight Clint, and I want to do it now. I told the coaches and everything I wanted to go after the number one guy. And I had that conversation with Uriah as well earlier. Let's take out their top guys. We kind of, me and Uriah both figured we were two of the better guys there and wanted to kind of pick off the tougher guys right away. So that was basically our strategy going into it. But then, you see the clip of Uriah saying, "Oh, I like to fight the tough guys, Josh or Bubba." And when the fight picks came out, Chael, he told me Uriah is going to be the guy that's up next. But are you available? If we change our minds, you still want that fight? And I said, absolutely, I'm ready to go. And they handed Uriah a list and said, hey, we got these options for you. Pick one. And so when the fight picks actually happened, they called Uriah's name, which I expected, and then they called Adam, and I was kind of like, Adam? That makes no sense. I don't understand why they would do that. And at the time, I was a little upset by it because I'm like, Uriah sat there and said he wanted to take out the best guys, and we both agreed together that Adam was clearly the weakest guy on their team. So when he was presented with a list and had to pick a name off it, to pick Adam is clearly not picking the best guy that you could fight. And so I was a little disappointed with Uriah about that. I approached him about it afterwards, and he kind of said the coaches were the ones that made the pick, not him. So it was what it was, but I was a little disappointed that he didn't go after one of the tougher guys like he had claimed that he wanted to. But with that being said, next week you see the clips for the most brutal knockout in TUF history and all this. And quite frankly, I don't want to hype that up any more than it already has, as if that's even possible. But watching that front row, it was the best knockout I have ever seen. And quite frankly, it was scary. And maybe it's because we were sitting there in an empty gym and it won't look as good on TV. I don't know. But I can tell you that from what I saw, it was incredible. And I'm personally looking forward to next week to watch that again. It was unbelievable. And again, I just want to thank my sponsors, Civation, smartpowders.com, Kinetics, the Coliseum to the Cage. And again, if you're looking to get in contact with me, Jimmy Crash BJJ on Twitter. My fan page on Facebook is probably the best way. I always respond to every message I get. Also on Reddit, always on there trying to respond to everyone, reply to comments. JQ Crash 25 on there. At some point, I'll do an Ask Me Anything, probably about like halfway through the season, depending on the interest and how much there's to cover. But it's a little tough because most of the questions people are asking and stuff are things I can't really touch on yet. So as the season progresses, as more is kind of out there about what's going on, I can kind of tell you guys a little bit more. But honestly, I want my experience to be your experience as well. As much as I can tell you and give you the backstory or what was happening behind the scenes, I'd love to do that. So any questions you have, anything you want to know or know more about, if you have questions on, what it was like with Gilbert's drama with the team, or, what the fights were like, or warm-ups for the fights, any type of questions you guys have, just let me know and I'll try to either field them, through text online or in my next video blog or whatever. So, don't hesitate to ask, and hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday.